Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave with a show and tell from a friend of Tested. We have covered Tom Spina and his Regal Robots team's work many times here on the channel. Among other incredible, illustrious things he has built in this space, my Chewbacca mask is one of my favorite objects. I just covered it in another video. And in this box is one of the latest offerings from Regal Robots, from Tom Spina's team. And it is part of their archive series, where they went up to the Lucasfilm archives and were able to both see and scan props that are in the archives for replications. And this one has one more degree of connection to us here at Tested because it is a maquette for Return of the Jedi that was sculpted by the legendary Phil Tippett. So yeah, Regal Robots, Archive Collection, Max Rebo. Concept maquette replica. So what a concept maquette is, you know, the script is the first thing that gets written in a film. And then once everyone's got the script, they're like, okay, there's the scene in Jabba's palace and there's a band. What does the band look like? What are the names of the characters in the band? And at some point someone says, okay, if Max Rebo is one of the band members, what the hell does Max Rebo look like? And Phil Tippett goes away and makes some sculpts and comes back with something, and they eventually choose a thing. But this is part of the creative process of making a movie, is the sculptural maquettes. And it's one of my favorites because you often get to see, there's the label, you get to see the first pass that was made of the thing. It's like, it's the origin story for the aesthetic problem solving that led to a movie that you love, right? That's what I find really thrilling about this. So I've got, he released a Tauntaun a couple of years ago. I've got one of those in the collection. And I have one other, which is, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, the Rancor. Was the Rancor Spina's? No, that was somebody, it was. Yeah, that Rancor was incredible. So what they got to do was to go up to the ranch. Yeah, there's a Max Rebo in here. They got to go up to the ranch and they got to scan the original. And I don't want you to think that because they have access to digital scanners that makes their job really easy. It only, oh, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh, so pretty. Wow. Wow, this is gorgeous. So here we have Max Rebo with a bunch of, I don't know, oranges or juggling balls, some sort of planetary fruit or meat, who knows, within the Star Wars universe. Let's see. This is an edition of only 250 pieces. Each one of these is hand painted and hand numbered. Again, I want to say, don't fall into the trap of thinking that because they had digital scanners that makes this a really easy thing to replicate at this level of beauty and subtlety, because that just gets you in the digital scan, and the 3D print from that digital scan just gets you in the room. It is not like, oh, you get to scan it and like pull a lever like a Star Trek replicator and out comes the prop. No, 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 no. There's always going to be artifacts from the scan, whether it's a laser scanner, LiDAR scanner, photogrammetry. There's always going to be artifacts. There's going to need to be cleanup. And that cleanup is really, really tricky to get right. When you get it right, when you have your print and you have your final piece, then you've got to paint it. And they're trying to replicate, if memory serves, a Phil Tippett paint job from 1982, right? And they're trying to give it the same kind of feel that Phil had. So this is Phil working from maybe a drawing, maybe the briefest of sketches, or maybe, and this is one of the ways that George liked to work, Phil would just be sculpting character after character after character, and George would sometimes place them in the movie. Oh yeah, this guy should be that guy. That guy should be over here. One of the, let's just talk about the figure itself. This is a fascinating physiology we've got here. We have a being with super long ears. We have a being with super long ears, this wonderful proboscis, this big fat snout, it's almost like a hippo. But then he's got these two legs and there's webbing here. This is great. And How does he run? What does that look like? And he's got this hilariously pendulous ass that is just settling itself on. Look, I know that, well, if you ever meet Phil Tippett, you might think of him as a little bit of a grouchy old man, because that's definitely the sort of affect that Phil can bring. But he has a really, really wonderful, deep and dark sense of humor and of the absurd. And to be honest, it's informed all of Phil's work throughout his whole career. Mad God, his film, which is just getting released this month, I think, and which went through the festival circuit, is a masterpiece. And it really demonstrates at the deepest possible level, because it's such a personal project of Phil's, that sense of humor and that sense of the absurd. But I think all of that is extant in his characterizations of the Star Wars characters. This is gorgeous. I mean, it really is something alien. I don't feel like I have any connection between this and animals that I've seen on Earth, and yet it feels authentic and honest biologically. I don't feel like I'm seeing a thing stuck on a thing. I don't feel like I'm, I just did a live stream in which someone was asking me what it's like to build from concept art. And the answer I gave was longer than I'm going to give now, but it is about not just building what the art director drew, but interpreting it. And when Phil is making something like this, he's making a character, but he's also got to make that character an authentic thing in and of itself. And that's where artists like him really excel, because they bring all this physiological knowledge. Not only that, Phil's, in addition to being an amazing sculptor, a master animator. And so how things move is deeply invested into his sculpts, the physiology of their movement. So while I ask, how does this thing run? I'm quite sure Phil has a clear idea of what this thing looks like when it runs. I think that he's putting that kind of potentiality and possibility into every piece. And now you have the opportunity to collect one of these and put it in your collection. And frankly, it's masterful. The paint job is beautiful and subtle. I'm seeing at least 3 shades of blue plus a shade of purple. It is washed out in some places that feels very much, I mean, these are hand painted by Tom Spina's team. I can tell you, having done high-level painting for models, when you're trying to do a museum replica like this, it is hairy, scary, high wire act kind of work. You get to be the tiniest bit interpretive, but you really want to hit these notes that make it feel like I said, like it is a thing in and of itself. And since Phil sculpted and painted this, the Regal Robot painters have to bring that paint job to that level of fidelity to make it feel right. And they really, really did. This is just gorgeous. I've got a lovely Phil Tippett collection building in my, I curated into the office where I do most of my Zoom meetings here at the Cave, because I like to stare at these things while I'm in phone meetings. And Max Rebo is now the newest addition to that shelf. I can't get enough of his coin slot here, of his rear end. This is just, there's something so hilarious to me about the shapes and the gravity and the weight. Like, this is a character. He's really sitting there. What a treat. What a great piece of film history. Thank you guys for joining me for this show and tell. Links on where you can obtain one of these are in the description below. And yeah, it's a good thing to bookmark Regal Robots and Tom Spina's site, because they are always making new and amazing Star Wars stuff, in addition to all the other things that they do. It's masterful work, Tom.